Hello, and welcome to the Muses Lab, your destination for all things spiritual, sensual, and pleasurable. Here I explore the nuances of our human experience, connect with practitioners to support your glow up, and share my lessons and blessings as perspective to move you closer to alignment and self-empowerment. I invite you to join me on this adventure of discovery and hope what you receive inspires you to become the muse of your life's journey. So without further ado, let's explore. Hello, and welcome to the Muses Lab podcast. It's your girl, Siobhan L. And yes, it has been more than a minute since I have been in this space, since you all have heard my voice. And one, I have to say, I am peak adulting. And I went and got me a day gig so that I could pull myself out of debt and get myself stable so I can plan my proper exit strategy so that I can do things like run my podcast and get back to my spiritual practitioner things and just be a creative, be a full-time creative in whatever way that looks like for me. But in order to do that, your girl had to get financially stable because if you trace back back to 2024, you will know. I talked about my journey and having to resign from my position with recommendation from my medical care team for mental health reasons, and me thinking that, oh, I can just transition and I'll freelance and I'll do all the things, and that wasn't it. So someone had posted on Threads a time ago, because this is transcending space and time. So someone had posted on Threads that women in their 40s should take a gap year. And it's still on my bucket list to do an annual sabbatical. Amina the Goddess does an annual sabbatical, and my gosh, I am inspired by her. I'm inspired by Amina because I want to bake a year off. Or, well, I don't think she takes a year off. She takes a couple months off, but I want to bake a year off into my sabbatical, or at least like 6 months. Like I'm off for 6 months and then I'm on for 6 months. I would like to bake that into my work life, into my creative life, into the schedule. That's something that I aspire to do. But I recognize that 2024 in itself was definitely part of the gap year. But I transitioned from the last full-time job that I had back in October 2023, and I became re-employed in March of 2025. At the time of this recording, I'm about 8 days out from my year anniversary at the daytime gig, and it's been cool thus far. It's challenging me, not so much, not less than, but not so much in the acumen space, like my knowledge of things, but it's challenging me in how I'm showing up in this corporate space, how I'm utilizing my voice, and how I'm able to advocate for myself, how I'm able to speak up for myself, redirect conversations, and just really speak my mind and not be afraid that my bravery and speaking up for myself will lead to things like retaliation, which is one of the reasons why I've always hesitated with speaking up for myself in corporate spaces, because I've been in too many instances where my words were used against me and were used to discredit me and invalidate my experience, and even conjure lies and stories that did not exist that were in favor of those, particularly my managers, who were trying to find ways to control me. So just a brief overview of where I've been, what I've been doing, why I've been so silent, mainly because what I do at the level where I'm at is requiring a lot of brain power. So the regimens that I had before I was reemployed, those regimens have shifted. And I did not consider how to shift my schedule to adapt to working full time at this level, at the level where I'm at, because I'm a strategist. A lot of the work that I do is very brain intensive, where I really have to think things through and ensure the tactics, because I'm also in marketing, that I am suggesting and recommending make sense to the client's business goals, makes sense to the campaign, to what the brand is about. Like, there's so many things that are interconnected with the thought process and how I strategize and envision tactical execution. So many elements that are intertwined there. So that requires a lot of brain power, and that's just one portion of it. That's not including all of the fucking meetings that I'm in. There are days where I am in back to back meetings with no break. I work regular 9 to 5, standard 9 to 5 hours. There are instances where I'm in meetings from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock with no break. So, that type of interaction, virtual interaction, there are some days where I'm in the office. I'm trying to get better at that once a week. So just people just see me. I have some semblance of visibility, but I work for a very large organization, a global organization, and the majority of my team is in another state. So we have virtual meetings, and I'm in a lot of virtual meetings back to back, and that is overstimulating. It takes up a lot of time. They're long. People are yapping and not engaging, yapping, and just yapping, right? So there are so many different aspects to the work that I do that become very draining for me. And it does not leave room for me to create. The energy for me to create is not there the way I'm used to having it. So there's been a lot of reconfiguring how I show up in the digital space, particularly getting back to running my podcast, which is who is my podcast 4 years old? Oh my gosh, it is in April. Oh, I have to look back, but 4 years. I have been off and on with the Muses Lab, and I really would like to transition back to being consistent, whether it's me posting once a week, twice a week, 4 times a month, whatever the cadence is. I really want to get back consistent with doing the podcast. I have so many things to talk about. I have so many people that I want to speak to and speak with, conversations that I want to have. So I am taking baby steps. I don't want to thrust myself in because I am looking at longevity here, and I want to ensure that I am moving at a pace that is sustainable for me so that I can build capacity and build consistency. So, again, my brief overview of where I have been, what I have been doing, what's been going on. No, I did not mean to ghost you, I promise. But I just needed time to get settled. And now that I'm a little bit more settled, even though the work that I'm doing is still intense as fuck, but I am a little bit more settled in my schedule and my regimen, and can identify where I can insert time to be creative, whether it's to record a podcast episode or write on my Substack, which I miss doing, and I really want to get back consistent with that as well, or showing up on other social media platforms. Regardless of what it is, I am taking small steps to build consistency and capacity so that I can fully return back into this creative space that I'm in. That was one of the reasons why I was like, let me just let me do an episode. Let me return back into the lab. So that was one of the reasons I just wanted to come in and share what's been going on. And also, I have been in very, very deep thought about myself as a Black woman, relationships, romance that I'm desiring, sex that I'm desiring, because who it the that means, what does a penis feel like? What does a penis feel like? What is that? I feel so disconnected from that type of interaction and engagement. I'm heavily touch deprived. I am so touch deprived. I want to cuddle. I want somebody to kiss on me. I'm not big on, my titties getting sucked, but I want my titties sucked. I want my ass slapped. I want somebody playing my coochie a little bit. Like, I want all those things. I want all the things. I want I want surface PDA, and then I want that nasty PDA. I want all of those things. I am in need of those things. I desire those things. So that has been on my mind, and just what it means for me to date. Every time I think about dating, I'm like, for some reason, dating doesn't resonate with me. Maybe I need a new word, or maybe I need to reframe how I am attempting to engage with potential suitors. Maybe I need to reframe what that looks like for me. But getting myself out there, being outside, interacting with people, building relationships that may become intimate, or and just relationships in general, expanding my network and having people to talk to. Nothing wrong with my girls, but I really be talking to the same people every day, and I need a little variety in my life. And the only way to do that is for me to actually go outside and interact with people and go to events. I'm looking for more events that include people who are above the age of 35 and up, but a lot of the events that are out here, everybody young. Where are the aunties and uncles? Because I'm an auntie and I need to be around the aunties and uncles. Like, it's cool to be around the youth. It's good to be around younger millennials and some Gen Zers, but after a while the conversations only go so far, and I would like to have conversations with people who are my age, and the wisdom that we have, that we bring to different variety of conversations. So those things, being outside, re-entering into the public, actually allowing myself to be visible, to reclaim the social life that I lost when I was in grad school. I have been 10 years off of a social life. So I haven't had a social life since I started grad school, and that was 14 years ago. I shut down my life, and I was like, I gotta focus. I gotta focus. I gotta finish my degree. And it has been a challenge trying to reclaim my life since grad school. I finished grad school and I had to be an adult again. I had to look for a job, and I cycled through so many different iterations of trying to be employed. I lost my job. I got laid off a couple times in between there. So just trying to be social and be outside and connect with people has been challenging. And it does not help that we are still in a COVID climate. So being careful about masking in spaces, or at least just taking precautions so that we're not spreading germs, viral germs. We're not doing that. And also me being introverted. So that doesn't help. It doesn't help me. So I'm also trying to be more brave and go to things solo so that I can meet people, and getting out of my head with anxiety, not so much fear, but the anxiety of being uncomfortable and being around people that I don't know, and relearning how to interact with people. Every time I'm in a space where I'm essentially by myself amongst people who I've never met, I'm constantly relearning how to engage and be social with people. And a lot of folks may label me as a social butterfly, but I am extremely introverted and I'm very quiet around people who I don't know because I'm in an observation space. And a lot of the activities that I want to do require me to speak. They require a small talk, and small talk is not my thing, but they require that. So I have to learn strategies so that I'm not weird or overly weird or come off distant or uninviting to people in spaces where I am trying to establish connection. So all of these things are also on my mind, but one thing in particular, a theme that has been arising for me in the space of dating and relationships is taking on a lover. I have seen multiple posts on threads because I'm always on threads. I've seen multiple posts on threads where sensual practitioners, because I don't want to gender people without really knowing their gender, but sensual practitioners are highlighting that certain women who have a certain type of energy, we can call it goddess energy, we could call it deep sensual energy, we could call it a myriad of things, but there are certain women who need a lover. And I've been wrestling with that for a very, very long time. I recall years ago me saying that this is when I thought I was going to have kids, but me saying that I'd probably be the grandmother talking to her grandchildren about how I had lovers. I never really got married, but I had a whole bunch of lovers. And I think about that often, that maybe I was predicting something in my life, because as much as I would like to be in a relationship, I I don't know how that's going to be defined for me. I want to be in communion with someone, in community with someone. I desire companionship, but I also want a devotee. I want a devotee. That is what I want. And I'm learning that over time, I'm learning from my past experiences that when I don't speak out loud what I want, I don't get what I want. And I cycle through frustration about not getting what I want because I'm not brave enough to say it, because I'm thinking about how others will think about me saying the thing that I desire and that I want, or that people will assume that I'm whatever label people place on persons who have this particular mindset, right? So I have been coaching myself through that and being honest with myself and how I want to have my romantic experiences. I genuinely want a devotee. And when I say I want a devotee, I'm not looking for somebody to be at my beck and call. I want someone who's devoted to me. I want someone who not necessarily worships me, but is dedicated to my pleasure, to bringing me romance, to bringing me support, to protecting me, to providing for me in some semblance of a way, whether they are a sole provider for me or they impart provisions in my life, but someone who is dedicated and devoted to me. I don't know if that person is connected to another person, like if they're poly or not married. I don't want nobody married. But I don't know if they're poly or in some other type of relationship. I just know I want someone, maybe even someone's multiple multiple people who are devoted to me, because I want that. And I believe that is the expression, one of the many expressions of romance and love that is to actualize in my life, not just at this time, but in general. I need devotees. I need motherfuckers who's gonna show up when I need them to show up, who will come through without asking, who can anticipate my needs. And I know I want that for myself because I anticipate other people's needs and I need that energy reciprocated back to me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly how I do it, but I want the energy that I bring to relationships, the dedication that I have, the loyalty that I have to friends, family, and even lovers when I am in those romantic spaces. I want that energy reciprocated back to me, and I actually want it above what I give. I don't necessarily want somebody to match my energy. I want somebody to come above that. I want somebody to supersede, blow my motherfucking mind. Like, I want that. And it has taken me a very long time to say that out loud. I want a devotee. I want a lover. I want a companion. I want someone who is dedicated to me. I want someone who will provide for me in a specific way. And it doesn't necessarily mean like paying for a bill. I mean, if they want to pay for a bill, yay. But maybe I get shopping money. Maybe they do pay for a bill, or maybe they help me meal prep. Maybe they cook for me every now and again. Maybe they take me out. Maybe we have dedicated times where we're spending time with one another, and it's all on them. Maybe it is a vacation and I get flown out. I get flued out. Maybe it's that, but I'm keeping provision and providing broad, not vague, but broad, because I don't want to pigeonhole the person who I magnetize. I don't want to pigeonhole them into doing this one particular thing. When I say provision, I'm talking about across the spectrum of what providing and provision looks like. And I want that. And in this part of the timeline, in this iteration of the timeline, this version of myself dates men. I can't remember which podcast episode I shared this in, but I shared that in every lifetime I have either been lesbian or bisexual, and I have always been with a woman. But this is the life. This is the reincarnation of myself where I date men. Fine. I've made peace with it. I've made peace with it. This is the version of myself where I date men. I've made peace with it, whatever. However, if I got to date a nigga, if I can only fuck with some penis, I need penis that provides. I need penis that provides. I need penis that's dedicated. I need penis that's devoted. I need penis that is a lover. I need penis that is gentle and knows when to be gentle and can be strong when it's time to be strong. That is very sure of themselves, that's confident within themselves, and does not see me as a conquest. That is very important. I have tried to be in relationship, to date and be in relationship with men, and they have only seen me as a conquest, someone whom they can shape and mold into the thing that they want. I don't want to, maybe it is magnetized. I have magnetized in so many ways men who see me as a conquest, as someone that they need to conquer, that they have to conquer, someone who they are trying to get to submit, right? I recognize that I have been magnetizing those particular type of men, and I need to do the things that I need to do to shift from that, because if I don't, I'm going to continue to get the same results doing the same things, right? I'm also recognizing that the type of men that I desire, I have told myself that I am not worthy, or I am not in a particular place in order to have interaction with these particular type of men. And I recognize that by saying those things out loud, it removed me from these top tier, upper echelon type of people, not just men, but other women as well. It removed me from that space and kept me in this mid to low vibrational, if you will, or mid to low tier of people. And I'm cycling through recognizing that this mid to low tier group of folk is not on my level. But because I told myself the top tier piece, the upper echelon piece, I wasn't on their level, I'm keeping myself in this purgatory, if you will, in this mid space with my spirit and my body knowing that I need to level up, but my mind telling myself based on my circumstances that I am unable to. So I I want the things, and I know that, and I recognize that who I am looking for and who I desire, pretty sure they're in that top tier, that top tier upper echelon community, and that I have to get into a place where I am now comfortable and knowing that those are the places and the spaces where I belong. And talking myself out of it, or telling myself that because I am deeply sensual and I'm a little nerdy, maybe a little geeky, I'm a little weird, I'm neurodiverse, and all of these things, that it is going to shape my interactions with people in a way that makes me unattractive, or that makes people distance themselves from me, sidestep from me. And these are the things, these are the barriers that I create for myself that stop me from showing up in so many different spaces. Even going out by myself, wanting to do that and wanting to show up in spaces by myself, that introverted piece of, again, that observation, scanning the room, or that narrative of telling myself that I probably don't belong here, looking at how people are interacting with one another, looking at how people are dressing, looking at how people are conversing with one another, the conversations that people are having, me telling myself that I probably don't know enough to be in this conversation. Like those small conversations that I have in my head are much of what prevents me from getting what I want. And saying these things out loud are helpful, because when I recognize my barriers to entry, when I recognize the things that are holding me back, and I acknowledge, not just recognize, but I acknowledge that I am the constant that needs to change. I'm the problem. Recognizing that it's me that needs to shift allows me to then have a clear path and dedicate myself to what I need to do in order to shift how I'm perceiving myself and how people are perceiving me. Because people recognize and they see that sensual, magnetic energy. People recognize and see that. But if I don't acknowledge it within myself, all it's going to do is keep me in that constant loop of attracting, magnetizing men whom I don't want, who I know are not my level, who I know cannot give me what I need. It's just going to keep me in that constant loop, because I refuse to accept that I am this divine celestial being. But other people see it. So am I telling myself that everyone else is lying? That everyone else is full of shit? It can't be if everybody is saying the same thing, or the type of connections that I'm having with certain men, them trying to control me, trying to trap me, trying to minimize me, trying to force me into contorting myself, trying to force me into minimizing myself. If all of the men are doing the same thing, if all of the men are saying the same thing, somebody got to be telling the truth. So I am I'm focused on that this year. One of many goals that I am working towards is to shift the way I look at myself, change the narratives that I have in my head, reconstruct and edit the perception narratives that I have for myself, so that I can then open myself up to receive to connect with the type of personal interactions that are in alignment with the elevated space that I am entering in. Recognizing that I am always abundant, that I'm my most abundant self, that I'm my most sensual self, that I'm my most sexual self, that I'm my most spiritual self, that I can regulate my nervous system and I can manage my emotions, but also acknowledge my emotions and live comfortably in my rage and my anger and my boisterousness and my sarcasm and my dramatism and be comfortable in it. And also be comfortable with connecting with people or interacting with people who recognize that I am too much for them and being at peace with that and moving on and not feeling like I have to change myself because everybody doesn't like me. Shifting from this desire to be likable amongst everybody and being at peace with the fact that everybody's not going to like me. Every guy is not going to find me attractive. Every guy is not going to like my conversation. Every guy is not going to like the way that I think. Every guy is not going to like the fact that I'm a spiritual being, that I don't go to church and Jesus is cool, but I don't be worshiping Jesus. Like, I need to be comfortable and at peace with all of those things and not see these, I don't want to call them barriers, but not see these elements as information that informs how I show up, but rather information that informs the direction that I don't need to go in, that informs the direction that I do need to go in, the path that I need to take. And it's not in the direction of the people who don't jibe with, and being okay with that. And knowing that the things that I want, the investment and time that I desire from my partner, my mate, my person, that I can get that and it's not too much, that I'm not asking for too much, but rather I'm asking the wrong person for what I want. And knowing that as I let my cream rise to the top, as I allow myself to elevate, as I embrace the large and grand version of myself that gets everything that she wants, the relationships and everything will follow. But I have to meet myself at that peak. I have to meet myself at the peak, at the identity, the version of myself who gets what she wants. Yeah. That's where we're at currently. One of many goals and things to accomplish. I look forward to sharing my journey. I look forward to bringing others into the space to expound on that journey and what that looks like and the things that they are navigating as well, and sharing that here with community. I look forward to evolving with you and sharing what that looks like. Yeah. This is going to be good. I'm excited. And I'm excited to return back to you all and be back in the lab. Thank you for tapping into the Muses Lab. Until we meet again. Thank you for tapping into this week's adventure. As always, don't forget to share the wealth with your community. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. And to deep dive into the Muses Lab, join my Substack community at siobhanl.substack.com. For more information, hop into the show notes for references and ways to connect. meet you on our next adventure.